In this video, let me tell you about a game. A game with 15 years of development, it's the best-selling game of all time, holds one of the largest communities in gaming history, it had a whole convention dedicated to itself, and of course, it's primarily responsible for YouTube today. Ladies, gentlemen, and those in between, this is Minecraft. But there's a pretty high chance you already knew that. Let's be real, Minecraft's history is nothing new. It's been done to death on every channel at this point. In fact, if you haven't even heard of Minecraft yet, you're no longer under a rock, you're just 6 feet under. I mean, hell, even Minecraft's official channel has the Minecraft history on it, except it's missing parts like, what game it was inspired by and the creator being intolerant. So what's the point of this video? Well, the truth is Minecraft has changed, which is what the title of this video would have been had it not been for Mojang's stupid video guidelines. Well, of course it has, I foresee you typing in the comments. What game wouldn't have changed after years of updates? And to that I say, Team Fortress. Nah, but you got a point. The game has a legendary lifespan that very few other games have seen before, and for us to still be receiving decently sized updates to this very day is absolutely insane. But when I say Minecraft has changed, I'm not just talking about the stuff they've added, I'm talking about how updates are added, the general tone of Mojang, servers, music. A lot of stuff has just been completely altered in a way, and I wanted to talk about it. It's a lot like that one friend you've been hanging out with since you were both kids. You watch them grow from a respectable individual with a lot of potential to someone who ultimately settled for an English degree and making YouTube videos. In order for me to explain my feelings and why Minecraft's soul has shifted, I'm gonna need some time. So sit back, grab some snacks, get wrapped in a warm blanket, this is gonna be one hell of a ride. Also, seeing as this video is a longer one and the algorithm doesn't really like longer videos, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Or don't, I'm not your mom. And let's start from the beginning. My beginning. It was 2010, I believe sometime in winter. My parents and I were sitting in one of the guest rooms at my grandma's house. My dad, over on his laptop, was playing Minecraft. I was curious and asked him what he was doing. He turns to me and hands me his laptop for me to try it out. I clicked single player, created a new world, and I swear to you, I remember my first night like it was yesterday. I spent the day running around, seeing animals, grabbing dirt, placing it somewhere else. Then I failed to make any shelter, craft any materials, climbed a tree at nighttime because it was dark and scary, only to get dropped by a spider that made me jump, scream, and then get angry. You see, the thing is, this was back when the public beta had just been released, so absolutely zero handholding was programmed into the game. So in order for you to find out how to craft a crafting table, for example, you either had to know someone who knew the recipe already or Google it. In my case, my dad told me how after I was done being in timeout for making a ruckus at 8 PM. But I swear to you, the moment I crafted the crafting table, the music kicked in and my face lit up. It was almost like the game knew that in that one moment with C418's Masterworks playing in my ears, my life had just changed forever. And I know that sounds dramatic, but it's true. Minecraft blew my mind as a kid. I would talk about it all the time. Once I got my own account in 2011, you bet your sweet bippy it became my most played game of all time. In fact, I'm pretty sure it still is. I watched all the Oxcast Minecraft videos. I was there when Captain Sparkles was a small YouTuber. I partook in Mineplex and old school SMPs, and I had a whole ass MP3 player dedicated to Minecraft parodies and stick figure animations. I was built different, built stupid. Minecraft and I became inseparable. You see, Minecraft did something for me that the real world did a really good job of not doing, and that was actually allow me to act like myself. I would often try to express myself to people and then get promptly bullied the hell and back for it, because this may surprise you, but being a Minecraft kid with bad social skills did not make you a popular kid in my school. So the fact there was a game that would let me go to a mountainside, put a little shack in it, maybe add some walls around it in any shape I like while jamming out the parodies with absolutely no one stopping me, it gave me a sense of freedom I never felt before. It became a place of comfort for me, a place to pursue whatever dumb idea I had unperturbed. Not to mention, the game kept getting new things to keep me busy as I grew up. Note blocks, cakes, beds, wolves, repeaters, pistons, enchantments, potions, and a new dimension. All these features brought so much to the table for me to toy with, despite being very simple additions. The game never felt like stuff was being made just because. Everything felt deliberate and thought out. However, as I got older, the treatment the game got began to shift. Updates slowed down to being anally done, and instead of following through and adding their ideas as they present them, the ideas now have to be voted on. Features get split into multiple updates or get pushed into the next one, wild update. And if it was too hard to work into the game, they just forced it to fit with the rest of the game. I mean, look no further than the copper bulb. It used to have a 1-tick activation time, which allowed for even smoother contraptions, only for Mojang to roll it back to 2 because it created issues they didn't feel like working with to allow this unique feature. The copper bulb was something that gave me old update vibes, and they just wiped it to keep everything uniform. Imagine the sweet new ideas people could have made with that. I could have made a machine to launch a child at the speed of Mach Jesus against a wall with incredible precision and execution time. Now that dream of a perfectly crafted villager railgun will remain unrealized. And this isn't even the only time they backpedaled on something. The Wild update was by far the most disappointing update for me. All the biomes that could have been reworked, all the neat little details like mushrooms on the side of birch trees and fireflies, gone. And they had the gall to say they were just concepts, as if they didn't present that shit during Minecraft Live like it was a blood pact. So instead of getting all of that, we got the mangrove biome, admittedly neat, and an incomplete version of the ancient city. How splendid. And I know I just made a large complaint here, but the thing is, the updates technically haven't lost their quality. I mean, I can't recall a time where an update broke the game outright or downgraded the game in a significant way. Well, I mean, except for the combat update. But the updates have felt different. We used to get entire dimension updates, huge game-changing content additions like elytras and shulker boxes, sponge. Now it's seemingly asking too much for a simple change like mushrooms growing on trees, fireflies, or having redstone block on a different tick interval. But I've already talked at great lengths about Mojang cutting corners in another video, and I don't feel like repeating myself, so if you want me to elaborate, just give that video a spin after this one. Digressions aside, it just feels like Minecraft isn't the same, like Mojang's spirits haven't been fully put into it lately. Maybe it's because of the lackluster performance of the two Minecraft spin-offs. Maybe they're just running short on ideas. It could also very well just be burnout from working on the same game for 15 years, who knows, but I feel it. It's incredibly hard to explain this difference in feeling, but based on what I've seen, it seems like I'm not the only one. I mean, there's tons of video on YouTube all saying, is Minecraft dying, or Minecraft is boring, and these videos, while great, keep making a point I just don't agree with. They often say it's because we got older, that it was a reminder of simpler times, but honestly, I don't buy that. Because there's a good shot that the same people who say that have also played another survival or sandbox game recently, and if you're doing that, then the issue isn't that you got older, it's that the game lost your interest. In fact, while I can't really explain the feeling, I can explain why this feeling showed up to begin with. At least for myself. So with the backstory and build-up out of the way, let's do this. Starting things off, this game has a serious case of bloating. If you don't know what I mean by that, let me explain. Minecraft has been getting fresh new content for almost every year of its lifespan, and while that content is good while it's there, its updates in the past few years always seem to fail in one major way. Depth. For a prime example, let's talk about the Caves and Cliffs update. While its whole Part 1, Part 2 shenanigans wasn't appreciated by many, what it brought to the game was an entire world-gen rework, mountains being made into, well, actual mountains, and underground mini-biomes. These additions were fantastic and brought new life to a world that had been relatively unchanged for years. However, while the world was certainly pretty to look at, the update failed to bring anything mechanically different to the game to keep us engaged. Aesthetics can only go so far. If there's no new gameplay features in this update, then ironically, the game is effectively as deep as it was before. This is bloating, the act of adding to the game but not evolving or providing depth to go with it. While Minecraft is a simple game, that doesn't mean it can't have depth. I mean, enchantments by themselves prove this point. Enchantments allow you to specialize tools and weapons for certain use cases, but it does this in a very simple way that any player can easily dabble in it. Literally, all you need to do is get lapis, get your level up to a certain point, and then slap a book and lapis into the enchantment table, and bam, look at that, enchantment options. You see, this very simple approach to customization added choices for the player to make in order to keep them engaged in the core game loop of mining and crafting. It was perfect. That is, except for mending, because mending just circumvents any of the resource gathering part of the game. I don't understand why they added it. That being said, enchantments were also the last depth-adding mechanic to the game. Like, seriously, go back. We haven't had anything since. Now, I know I'm about to hear, well, what about redstone additions? Don't those add depth? And to that, I say this. Redstone additions are cool, but they only affect one type of player. Redstone additions have been consistently crazy. Observers, daylight sensors, and most recently, the autocrafter. Even though the copper bulb stuff was ultimately more disappointing than waking up from a good dream that felt too real, there's no denying that the autocrafter will shake up the world of redstone players forever. That being said, it shakes up the world of redstone players forever. Redstone is a mechanic with a lot of flexibility, but requires a lot of tutorials, experimentation, and learning to even begin to dabble with it. While the depth in this mechanic is certainly massive, to a point you can literally make Minecraft in Minecraft, no joke, the problem is that it's a very complex mechanic that not every player is going to touch. I mean, I'm just now touching redstone 12 years after I received my copy, so in turn, it's not an impactful enough addition for the entire player base to acknowledge. So if the addition being added isn't going to be used by most of the players who play the game, the addition effectively is not real. And if the addition isn't keeping you engaged or affecting you in any way, it's bloating. And what makes this bloating issue worse is there's been numerous points where Mojang could have added something fresh and new, but they opted to just do something non-impactful. And there has been no better example for this than the implementation of smithing templates. Smithing templates could have done so much for the way we use armor and tools. Imagine if the templates had embedded effects unique to each type of template and what piece of equipment it was attached to. What if tools could receive them for special effects that either made them better weapons or better at their jobs? Here, you know what? Better yet, let me just give you examples. Let me give you examples of ideas I came up with right now. What if there was a smithing template that actually lets you swim in lava? Or a smithing template that changed your sword swing attack into a magic sword projectile, kind of like The Legend of Zelda? Or maybe a smithing template that would make ranged attacks immediately deflect back to the enemy? I just made this up. It was right now in the heat of the moment because I'm angry and sad because all we got was decorative trim. They settled for decorative trim. Why did I go to the ancient city for this? Why did I go on death-defying missions so that way I can make my armor a little bit purple? Why is decorative armor trims locked behind doing hard-as-nails tasks? I suppose you could argue bragging rights, but it's a really dumb one. Many locations in the game lack a real reason to visit them, but if they housed potent, unique upgrades, it would make going through that struggle far more enticing and in turn would give players far more to dabble with. Depth, added with a simple premise housed in an idea that's already in the game. Now I get it, expecting a new mechanic every single update would be highly unrealistic, but giving a new mechanic a try that actually changes the game in a way that impacts all players would ultimately keep player interest and engagement while we waited on the next update. Adding without ever expanding on concepts you've already added will only confuse a player as to what they're supposed to be doing. You can't keep adding things in and do a half-assed job of implementation. It doesn't make your game seem content-filled, it makes it seem like there's a lot you can get and nothing to do with it. Now, I'm hoping that this next update with the trial chambers and the trial key that we still don't know what to do with will eventually lead to something mechanically neat, but looking at the past few years of updates, this is probably wishful thinking. That being said, this isn't the only reason the game feels off. In fact, the game has another reason that has nothing to do with the updates and everything to do with one of the most integral parts of the game's identity. That shift was with the music. When you think Minecraft soundtrack, who is the literal first person that comes to mind? Whose music literally forms an entire third of Minecraft's identity? Whose name starts with my favorite explosive? C418. To say this dude just made the music for Minecraft would be like saying Ronald McDonald was just a clown for McDonald's. If Minecraft's gameplay is the mind and its art style is the body, then C418 is the soul. I can't even begin to imagine a world where Minecraft didn't get C418's masterworks for its soundtrack. Every single track that he created for this game exudes so much spirit and personality while also not being an obnoxious distraction. It's magic. It's straight magic. C418 masterfully balanced the distinctness of the melodies and sounds produced by each instrument in such a way that the music could very well just be in the background as you're working, but when you get those silent moments to take in your work, the chords, the silky smoothness of the tune, it just carries that moment even further than you would ever expect. That moment when I made the crafting table during my first time playing, that moment wouldn't have stuck with me as well as it did if his music wasn't playing. In fact, that moment was so potent that I remembered the exact track that played when it happened. It was Mice on Venus, which also stands to be my favorite track in the whole game. The way the piano gave this emotional, soothing, and also almost triumphant sound as the magic of the game hit me was just priceless. However, as the saying goes, good things can't last forever. As it turns out, Microsoft reached out to C418 to try and strike a deal to earn the rights to the tracks, and after time and attempted negotiations, no deal was able to be met, and Microsoft and Mojang were now out their main composer. This was, without a doubt, a massive L for Mojang, and I, like many others, were very concerned as to who would be taking the mantle as Minecraft's main composer. Like I said, C418 literally made up a third of Minecraft's identity. That's now gone. With him out of the picture, Minecraft would be missing such an important part of itself, and there was no telling what Microsoft would try to do. Maybe they'd add in like the Halo composer and just go and just completely throw it all off. However, to our surprise, they didn't cut any corners. The composer to take his place would be none other than Lena Raine, the composer for the soundtrack in Celeste, which was a pretty neat platformer game with a very solid, unique style of chiptune soundtrack. At first, I was skeptical, but after I heard what she was making for this game, I gotta say she did a pretty solid job. None of her tracks ever felt like they fell flat, and they exude their own personality and spirit that I'd say fits the game pretty well with modern Minecraft. However, despite this fact, the track does present an issue, one that doesn't mark a bad OST, but instead brings out the major shift in soul I was talking about. The issue is, sometimes the tracks are simply too much. Now, let me just say that I love Lena Raine's work, and I think she did a stellar job making these tracks. All of them are well composed, the tunes are lovely, and everything just screams her style. That being said, I feel a good handful of her tracks miss the mark on the general vibe of Minecraft. There's too much going on in some of the tracks, too many instruments being used, and too much energy in some cases. I mean, for a prime example of this, look no further than Labyrinthine. While it's a beautiful piece for sure, by no means awful, the song is almost too busy. It's too distracting, it's taking out of your moment for it to have its moment. It tries to invoke the world being exciting, but in doing so, it loses that chill, somber, taking it slow feeling of the other tracks in the game. It simply does not fit. I know it's considered sorta out of line to compare her work to the works of C418, as the two of them have vastly different styles, but it's not hard to do when both their tracks share the same space. And yes, I'm aware that C418 literally made Cat, which is a bubbly, over-the-top cutesy track. The difference here is that it's a record the player has to find to listen to. This track, Labyrinthine, just plays in the game. I would have had no issue if this track was on a record, like Other Side or Pigstep. Hell, I even love those two records. Records are supposed to be sorta out there and strange, that's the point. But for it to be this way in a main soundtrack ambient piece that just plays in the overworld, it just doesn't feel appropriate for the game's general vibe. That being said, there was a soundtrack for the game that she made, one I think fit the game pretty damn well and even did a neat job of trying to capture that old feeling while still feeling like her work. The Nether update track has to be her best work for this game by far, especially with her track Rubedo. It's Rubedo for the rest of the video. Rubedo is in my top 5 tracks for this game, and considering the fact that the top 4 are Mice on Venus, Moog City, Subwoofer Lullaby, and Mall, yeah, that's saying something. Just the way the soundtrack has that mellow build-up to the way the piano simply takes center stage of the track after a bit, slowly getting to that final crescendo as you get a feeling for the surroundings of the Nether, then the track just takes off in this beautiful peak point, like it's a reminder to make you go, oh right, I'm in hell. This track is a damn near immaculate interpretation of the Minecraft soundtrack's feel from Lena Raine, and I hope that maybe someday some of her new tracks can capture the magic of this one. That being said, damn near is about as close as it can get. The truth is that when you dabble with a different artist, you dabble with a different spirit, a different personality and creative mindset. When you change the musician, you change the feel with it. C418 had a way to invoke emotion by using only a couple instruments and a synth and used simplicity to the track's strength. Lena Raine dabbles with a bunch of different instruments, different sound feels, and present this energy that was never present before in the game. Is it good? Is it bad? I have no idea. That's objective, but it's undeniably different. Speaking of different, something else changed with time that is undeniably bad. Something that was once a cherished part of the game turned sinister. Prepare yourself, because this is where I get a little pissed. We are, of course, talking about While the past couple things have been something under Mojang and Microsoft's near complete control, this one is completely the fault of bad actors in the community. The truth is, most of the top Minecraft servers objectively spew chunks. If you played any of the top Minecraft servers for even a moment, you may have very well come across one of these amazing features they added. Microtransactions, loot boxes, pay-to-win ranks, auction houses, the server redesigning the game to be as manipulative as possible, or the server begging you to vote on them on the Minecraft server board by rewarding you with more loot box chances. None of these are mutually exclusive, by the way. See, I wish I could say this only affected a handful of the top servers, but this affects almost all of these on this list. Minecraft servers used to be such amazing places to meet new people from all over the world, to build cool structures and create a small community that would remember each other for years. Now, Minecraft servers hardly even resemble the game they come from. Even worse, they deliberately profit off of younger players with scummy business practices fit for a lord of scumbags. I'm like half convinced if you make all these Minecraft server owners take a shower, they'll melt like the Wicked Witch of the West. Look, I have no issues with people wanting to upgrade the game into something different for their servers. Like, I can appreciate Hypixel, Skyblock, and Minecraft for the unique experiences they offer. But some of these other servers use the twist specifically to monetize the absolute hell out of it. Like, prison servers make progression so slow. Like, it takes literal days, it feels like, to get certain upgrades, but if you pay $1, you could potentially get broken items that make the game faster. Or you can buy ranks to give you a massive advantage over other players. Even better is that the server could reset, so all the money you spent will ultimately mean absolutely nothing by the next year. This shit is so egregious, it should be illegal. Back in the day, servers would simply have ranks to show you that you donated to the server as a sort of thank you, and that was it. Now the servers are designed to just be as violently manipulative as possible. I mean, look at this hot garbage. Look! It's not even Minecraft anymore! It's some jackass's personal casino, preying on any child unfortunate enough to give it even one glance. It's disgusting. It's pathetic. It just reeks of soulless cash-grabbing behavior. Well, to be fair, I'd be acting like I'm wearing rose-tinted glasses to pretend servers like this never existed before, but now it's front and center. That's the difference. Even worse is back in the day, Mojang used to police this behavior. Now it's on their official server browser. They're not even ashamed of it anymore. What happened to the old values, the community, the camaraderie of companionship formed through creation? There are popular servers out there that change the game up but don't try to rob you blind, but that's few and far between now. I miss being able to just hop on a server that had only a handful of plugins and nothing else. I miss meeting new folks and building a humble town with them. I miss when I could read chat without the server begging for my approval like some dejected stan. Now it seems like a complete pipe dream to even get something like that, and it's disheartening. It's at this point in the script where I became genuinely concerned. I began to actually question if it really was that Minecraft changed or if it was I who changed. Did I really grow up like this video said? Did I lose myself? Was my old creative and curious spirit just gone? For a moment I almost said yes, but just as I was questioning it, a certain mod caught my eye. The mod in question is called Better Than Adventure. Better Than Adventure is a fork development mod. If you don't know what that means, it's basically a mod that seeks to update the game in a very different direction than where it is right now. Think of it like Hardee's and Carl's Jr. Both restaurants are under the same company, but their menus are varied up in many ways that are catered specifically for certain tastes. That's fork development. Better Than Adventure is a mod specifically built on a version before the Adventure update, as the name suggests. This means no enchantments, no ender dragon, no villagers, no potions, no combat update. Instead, it prioritizes its game design under the old, simple sandbox philosophy the game was initially aiming for, while making sure the additions don't lose the feeling of Beta 1.7. It adds cool things like seasons, fully customizable flags, chain link fences that you can climb over, spike traps, motion sensors, and so on. These additions, while simple, actually add a lot of fun to the game that I felt like modern Minecraft sort of falls flat on. As I was playing the mod, I began to get lost in the game again. I was building for the sake of it. I was thinking of fresh new ideas for the world without the game trying to push me any which way. I found that soul again. I was relieved, to a point I almost cried. Then I asked myself, why? Why had I not felt this in so long? Why did it feel like the game that once brought me comfort just wasn't really doing that anymore? Then it hit me. Minecraft didn't just change, it became a different game. And you know what? I'm okay with that. Because Minecraft is more than just the game, it's the people who play it, the culture around it, the creative minds behind it, the memories built upon it along the way. Minecraft has done so much for me as a person that the world couldn't dream of doing. It made me comfortable with who I am. It inspired me to pursue this career in the first place. While nothing lasts forever, the permanent impact this game has made on me and many others is undeniable, and I hope it can do the same for the new generation of players too. This has been The Bottom Dweller.